This is my MacBook Pro 15-inch 2017 review. So, I just want to talk about this. So it has a full aluminum body, so the whole thing is practically aluminum, so there really isn't much design-wise. It's beautiful. They don't really change much, just how slim it is. Feels just as beautiful as before. The keyboard is a scissor switch. It's Butterfly Switch 2, version 2. So, keyboard travel is not so much. There's very little keyboard travel, and at the same time, you also have clickiness to a point. So, some people complain about that clickiness. I think it's fine for the most part, but that's just me. Now, the touch bar. I was wondering till I went onto Apple's website, what type of screen did the Mac Pro touch bar use? Touch bar. It uses an OLED display, so that's nice. So it's not really wasting any battery. And after I set it to go 30 seconds because the keyboard sometimes I have it lit up depending on time of day, and 30 seconds I think is a great time before this whole keyboard area shuts off. I mean, like the lights itself shut off. And now the screen is a 15-inch. 2880 by 1800. So this screen is so beautiful. It's vibrant. Everything's beautiful on it. Everything's perfect, and it's a 500 nit of brightness. So if you turn up the brightness all the way, it gets up to 500 nits of brightness. Beautifulness. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The whole bezel looks nice, but it's a fingerprint prone. So if you look at the bezel here, you can see it's like this, but that's glossy. So fingerprint prone, so if you have the camera, you have to make sure the camera doesn't have any smudges in front of it. It's also nice because it magnetizes together onto the keyboard magnetizes back on, so if you close it, the keyboard has magnets down over here. So that's something that's also nice. And also the keyboard, apparently this whole area has an ambient light sensor to turn up and down the brightness depending on where you are. So I can also turn up the brightness on the keyboard. I don't know how well you can see that, but they are on. The keyboard is lit up, and if I go back, I hold it to put it all the way down. You can probably, don't know if you can notice that, but I just turned up and down using this over here, this whole touch bar. Now, the Touch ID sensor is integrated right into the trackpad, right over here. So if you lock it, you can unlock it with the Touch ID sensor, and the speakers are next to the keyboard on either side, and they sound awesome. And then the keyboard just weighs about 3 to 4 pounds. So now operating system. If you are coming from a Windows computer, then you'll have to learn some things about the OS. The commands are different, but for basic stuff, the control keys on the window is where you would press, the control key on Windows is you press Command and then you can do stuff. Like Command C is copy, on Windows Control C is copy, so it's just a little different. And otherwise, there really isn't much more. It's just different file extension too. Instead of exe, it's DMG, and then there's just some aesthetic differences. But now the other thing is performance. So how has my Mac actually been performing? Really well. I can edit. I know this is also like a high-end computer, but at the same time, how does it perform against other Windows computers similarly spec'd? So in terms of that, I can edit 4K videos while being able to scrub through editing timelines or just watch it through without being forced to render a video just to make sure it looks okay. It's also nice because with Mac you can get Final Cut Pro X, or Final Cut Pro, whatever one you have on your computer. I think Final Cut Pro X is the only one they offer anymore. And with that, so I do have a Final Cut Pro X over here, as you can see. If I zoom in and go over here, you see Final Cut Pro. So I do have that on my machine. It's Final Cut Pro X. They just renamed it to Final Cut Pro because that's all they sell anymore. And it's nice because you can get faster editing through it. You don't have to worry about edits as much. So the SSD used in the computer is also soldered onto the motherboard. The RAM configurations are 8 and 16 gigabytes for the configurations you want. For the CPU, it's only an i5 and an i7, but for the GPU, it's an Intel Iris graphics. I think it's 630 or 6300 or something, or Radeon Pro 550 or 650. So for the configuration I have the most expensive you can buy in the store. This one was $2,799. And for what it's worth, there is, inside of it, they have the Radeon Pro 650 graphics, so they have the Radeon Pro 650, or I think 550, whichever one comes inside. And they also have the Intel Iris graphics integrated. So you have both two graphics things in it. So it uses whichever one it needs. So if I'm doing a light task, it's going to use the Intel graphics, so it doesn't take up a lot of computer power. So the SSD is also soldered onto the motherboard, so the computer it can't be replaced by the user. That ranges from 256 gigabyte to 2 terabyte SSD. And the performance of the SSD is awesome. Start. Now just look at that. Just look at that. That is a little bit faster than it looks like, but that is awesome. As for everyday usage, the computer doesn't slow down once, and it is really fast and reliable. Like, I've never had an issue with this laptop. Nothing wrong yet. And transferring files from my V30 over to here, because I do that sometimes, it was really fast. Opening up apps also, as you can see, is really fast. So I'm just going to open up my Notes app, see how fast that was. It's beautiful. Including Microsoft Word also, I have it right here. It just doesn't show it for some reason. It does that randomly. Pop up, see how fast that was, and closing it's also fast. And I have no complaints at all. So sound, as laptops as a whole, for having such a small body, have crappy sound. And usually they're tinny and have no bass. That is definitely not the case here. The speakers are loud and clear. They have great bass for how small they are, and they are clear so you can hear everything you would need to hear. And they're also front firing, so as you can see here, they're on either side of the keyboard, right here, throughout the whole thing, and right over here. And then there's a microphone over here also, if you want to know where that mic is, because I was also confused. And I edit from laptop speakers sometimes, and usually from headphones, depending on where I am. So if I'm in a quietest environment and I'm too lazy to get my headphones, I'll just edit from the speakers. And usually it's crap, but I still go through it because there's not much I need to do usually. And the speakers sound great. I can make out any sound that comes from them, and I think they're the best I've heard so far from this form factor. So for me, I'm personally going to be editing from these speakers, which I've been doing for a little bit. I edited an edit for myself, a nice edit through these speakers. So let's hear how they sound.
Will I cry? Will I leave behind broken and crumbled signs, hiding all my roads to you? Uh-oh. And if I fight,
Now, that sounds great. Now, my other problem is this webcam over here. It is only 720p, so that's okay, but I think it could have been 1080 for this frickin' price. It's okay, but it works 100% for FaceTime, and I use FaceTime on this Mac a ton, and I think it's nice for that. There is not much more I would use my webcam for, in my opinion, so it's nice. So battery life is claimed to get up to 10 hours of usage and up to 30 days of standby. I can attest to these claims. I have easily gotten 10 hours of usage if I'm not editing a video. That takes tons of power to use, or if I'm not editing a video at all. So, how do I feel about this laptop? Of course, I'm used to Windows computers, and they're easier use. For me, though, I've got used to this really fast. You may also, but also at the same time, I like being able to take apart this laptop, swap out different parts of it, and just use it. But I love this laptop. It feels beautiful. It is fast. It is great and portable. I love the fact that it's fast and there are never any problems as far as I see in terms of anybody ever using Mac, even if they don't know what the heck they're doing. And also, I felt tons of laptops, whether I've owned them and returned them, or I just in store felt them, and I think this one feels the best. There's nothing that can come close to this type of build quality. So I felt the touch bar was a gimmick at first also, but now that I see it, I think that it's a cool feature, and I use it in apps like Final Cut Pro and stuff like that. So Touch ID is something that I noticed straight away, and nicely integrated. It's nice. It's convenient for the App Store purchases. Instead of having to type in that password, all you do is you type in you just touch the touch bar, and you're completely fine. So you can use it instead of having to type in your password for any type of install, even if it's just off the web install. And it's only limited to 3 fingerprints, so that's annoying. But otherwise, I hope they add more later. Otherwise, the computer is awesome, and I think you should get it if you're looking to buy one. So, of course, please like this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up. And just as always, enjoy the rest of your day.